This hangout is live on the air. That's right, everybody. We are live from Phoenix, Arizona. Not New York.
Live
Well,
from
actually,
Phoenix.
John's in
It's
New York. Look at
Wednesday
that. Look at the
morning.
background there. Looks like John's in New York for Christmas there.
Live from New York. It's Wednesday morning. I got my Christmas tree set up by my window. I got a great view of the Flatiron building, and I don't know, man. Traffic's at a standstill this morning.
Oh, man, you know what? Hey, at least you know what? It's pretty quiet up there where you're at least. You don't have to listen to all that.
Yeah, yeah. All these many floors above. All these people are little ants running around down there.
Yes, that's the place where we all want to be, right?
The skyrise penthouse, baby.
So, here we are on Wednesday morning, and I'm a little unprepared for this because I'm not quite sure where we left off the other day. So I'm looking at my notes. So, John, why don't you? Oh, I know, you gave all that great information yesterday. You got anything more to go on that?
Oh gosh, yeah. I love this conversation. I've got one of my business partners in my paint business. He's a day trader. So it's really, and he's been formally trained by Online Trading Academy, which I went to a couple of their courses too, and they're a great school. I'm not pitching Online Trading Academy, so I'm not pitching that. I'm just saying it's great education, and it really opens your eyes to things that are going on in the stock market. And when your eyes are open to that, you actually realize that similar type of shenanigans, if you will, takes place in the real estate market. And it's awesome to have a buddy of mine who's a day trader who's took formal education. That's the point of why I brought it up, and who's also been doing this for quite some time, well over about 2 years, and he's been at it very consistently over a year now, and actually doing very well in this stage of the game, and getting his insights into those markets, because it's a great conversation to have. I'm as you could know from these hangouts, Paul and I are very in touch with the Phoenix real estate market, and also we're trying to educate ourselves about the national market as well, because as we talk about on these hangouts, we are actively seeking out motivated people in other cities that want us to help them create a team and recreate what we're doing here in Phoenix in their neck of the woods. So we got a mind on the national scene as well. And to have somebody that I'm close with that looks at the stock market every day is fascinating, and it's eye-opening, because what we were talking about on Monday was the fact that the shift that's been taking place over the last year in the Phoenix market, specifically the slowdown, if you will, in the building up of inventory and actual, like Paul and I mentioned on Monday, a 10 to 20%, in some areas 20% decreases in prices in the last year alone. And then to talk to somebody, and we talked about the fiction of the economic recovery, if you will, and the fiction in the unemployment numbers, and talking to somebody about the stock market and what a day trader basically, their job to do if they want to trade successful, is they're trying to identify the indicators of fiction in the market so they can trade on the fiction to make money. They follow the big money trades, and the big money trades are being used to manipulate the average Joe Schmo traders out there who don't know any better, who have the wool pulled over their eyes, who, when, for every time you win on a trade, somebody has to lose, right? So there's more losers than winners when you're trading the stock market. But the conversation I had that I'm alluding to is the whole fiction, the fiction behind this market, and the manipulation of this market by the big boys, by government, well, specifically the Federal Reserve, and the pumping of dollars into the market specifically, but just how hedge funds and people with money, the investors, the big money investors, the big speculators, how they manipulate the markets. Same thing has happened in Phoenix. And one of the reasons we're seeing the slowdown is because these big money players, these big investors, these Wall Street firms, Blackstone, AIG, these big boys, they're left. Where are they going next? That's the market I want to be in because I want to play on that. So, that's kind of where we were at on Monday, Paul. If I think he probably already found his notes. So, yeah, that's kind of where we were at on Monday, just kind of talking about the market and the fiction in the market and kind of trying to open people's eyes to the reality of what's going on. And, you don't have to take my word for it, but I just urge everybody out there to start, if you care about your future, if you care about your finances, if you care about your family, and I know most of you do, you got to open your eyes and look what the heck's going on out there and not get your news from the mainstream media because they're lying to you. And I can say that with absolute certainty.
Well, kind of leading into where I want to go with the real estate here, what you were just talking about with the Wall Street. Most people don't even freaking realize on Wall Street that, the stock trading is not what happens on the floor in New York City anymore. Okay, that's pretty much a charade. All right, and just to show you guys, I mean, most people think that, hey, stock trading is going on. We got to watch this thing. And things are going to shift, and we're going to buy low and sell high and all that stuff. And I'm not a stock trader, and I don't know squat from my you know what I'm talking about. But I mean, you got to consider if there's a player out there in the market who is playing with billions of dollars, and you're sitting here playing with your tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're making these moves based on shifts that happen from here to here, right? But you've got this guy out here who's playing with billions of dollars in the same arena that you're playing in, and he jumps in, and all he needs is a shift from here to here, and he's making a play. And they can do that now because of the computer system, because of the internet. Anybody in the world that has billions of dollars can jump in online with the stock market, and within seconds, make a trade, buy a trade, sell a trade, buy a trade, whatever it is that they're going to be doing, and with a shift of just a few cents, and they've made bank. And that has an effect on you, and it's just totally ridiculous. Wouldn't you agree?
When someone's making money on in stock trading, that's because someone else is losing, and the big boys know that. It's funny. This is one of the things they talk about on Online Trading Academy, and this relates to real estate because markets, unfortunately, in this world today, markets, just about all of them are manipulated. The National Association of Realtors absolutely 100% attempt to manipulate the markets. Just look at the MLS right now and all the properties sitting there, and you're going, most people are like, oh, why isn't my house selling? And I look at the prices going, because you've got a jackass realtor who's, a member of the National Association of Realtors overpricing properties because they're trying to drive the market. That doesn't really work anymore. It hasn't worked since '08, and when your investors pull out, it doesn't work. But the point that I was going to make with stock manipulation is they love the fact that 80% of the public buys hook, line, and sinker what's talked about on national news. And actually, if most people, I think, know who Kramer is with Mad Money on CNBC, MSNBC or CNBC. He's that guy that with the shirt, with the nice shirt on and the tie, but he's got his sleeves rolls up like he's one of us, and he's in the pits, and he's talking about, it's all about the fundamentals. It's all about the fundamentals. This is how you buy stock. And, on the news media, I don't know, Paul, you know who I'm talking about? Kramer with Mad Money?
I know of him, but that's all. Like I said, I'm not a stock guy, so I don't pay any attention to that BS.
I just want to point out, though, if you don't believe that the news is bullshit, you need to Google Kramer. You need to Google Jon Stewart interviewing Kramer, okay? And then you need to Google Kramer exposes stock manipulation, okay? And in an interview, this guy is now this guy's been on TV for years, and this is a recent interview, okay? So he's sitting down and he's doing an interview for a small online like podcast type of a situation that hardcore traders watch. The average public doesn't see this video, so he's candid. He's openly talking about how, because he is a manager actually of a major hedge fund, and he talks about how easy it is to manipulate the market overnight in the futures market, to manipulate stock prices the following day with just $1.5 million is enough to manipulate a move in the market the next morning and create a panic. He also talked about, and openly in this video admitted that not only on his show, but when he wants to drive a stock price to make money for the hedge fund that he manages, he admitted on this video, and I want everyone to Google it to understand that this is what the news media is all about. He actually will plant fake news stories as well as contact other reporters or the talking heads on TV to report fake news stories to drive public opinion about a particular stock and shift and manipulate the price. And at the same time the fake news stories are being planted, they're making $1.5 million trades in the middle of the night on the futures market to shift prices in the morning. He specifically talked about a deal with Apple and lied that Apple wasn't going to. They broke a story that his inside connections told him that Apple wasn't going to make this deal with Verizon, and that was going to affect millions of dollars worth of sales if Verizon didn't pick up the Apple phone, full well knowing from the people on the inside that Verizon and Apple had already made the deal and hadn't announced it yet. And then they shorted all their futures, drove the price of Apple down to a certain level, not drastic, but at a level where they bought back, knowing that in a week the announcement was going to be made and drive the stock price higher than it was before they brought it down. And the awesome thing about the Jon Stewart interview is because he directly calls Cramer out on that. And when Cramer lies about having ever said those things, Jon Stewart's just like, really, you never said that? Let's go to clip 1, and shows the guy. And you've never seen so much kowtowing and backpedaling in your life. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing that this man is still on TV. And if you think it's just him, you're wrong. That's what I'm getting at here. I'm getting off the topic of real estate, but in a way I'm not.
No, you're not. You're not at all, because you know what? I'm going to shift you right into what you're saying, right into real estate. But I would say go look at that video ASAP, because you know what? It'll get taken down. It's not going to be out there forever. But anyway, just what you're saying though about the manipulation of the stocks. Let's look at real estate. Okay, 2006. Everybody and their brother can put their puppy's paw print on a freaking piece of paper and get a loan to buy a house, right? And what is the real estate market telling you? It's like, hey, now is the time to buy. Prices are going up. Prices will go up for the rest of your life. Nothing will ever change in this world. Real estate always goes up, right? That's what we were all told, right? So everybody buying in, refinancing, going into debt, blah, blah, blah. Bam, pull the rug out from under you. And what do we happen a year later? We go into a crash. 2007, the prices are going up. Now all of a sudden the prices are going down. 2008, what are we hearing? 2008, prices are going down. And this also shows you gives you a little bit of the quickness of how the market changes. And this just doesn't happen because of this major incident. You can take the same model and look at any point in time, because the prices, what's going on with the economy, and what the media is shifting the public thinking towards. It may not have happened as drastically where you could see it so pointedly on the grid, but it's happened the same way over time with the real estate markets in any era. You pull out any block of 10, 15 years and look at it, and you'll see the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, but 2008, we're skyrocketing down, and what are we hearing? It's like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. It's never going to end. What's going to happen? And yet here we are 1 year later, 2009. Oh, we're at the bottom. This has got to be the bottom. We're in 2009. It's got to be the bottom. 2000. Things have got to be getting better. Blah blah blah. And what happens? The prices are still going down in 2009. But that if you look at the grid, there's a little glitch. It kind of there was a little hiccup that went back up again before it started going back down because of all this pumping of information of we're at the bottom. And then here we go into 2010, same thing. We're getting into 2010. Oh, we're at the bottom. We're at the bottom. And if you look, you'll see another little glitch where it's like everybody got excited. We're at the bottom now. But it's turned around. It's still going down. 2011, end of 2011. Finally, we reached the bottom, you know, and so I mean we're coming down, 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 down. Finally, we reach the bottom, and what happens? Bam! 2012, we're skyrocketing again. What? Oh, we're skyrocketing again in 2012, and then throughout 2012 and into 2013. And what are we hearing at the end of 2013? Real estate is fantastic. Now's the time to buy. Oh my God, you got to get in before, blah, 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 all this stuff. And so you got people at the end of 2013 now buying that are so excited because there's been 2 years of this extraordinary appreciation. Now's got to be the time. Real estate's coming back. It's all going to be hunky-dory again, just like 2006 all over again. Prices will never come down. Real estate's going up and up and up. And what happens? People are buying in with all these expectations of appreciation. And what happens? The market flattens out. And now they got in here, expecting to go here, and the market's only here. And what happens? These people are now getting foreclosed on by their private money lenders, et cetera, and so on, because they bought into deals that they can't do. Or you see prices out there of houses that they got in, they got it done. But they had to get so much money that they were expecting the market to continue on towards, and it never got there. So now they've got these outrageously, ridiculously overpriced properties out there that realtors now have the opportunity to, hey, look at this comp over here that's listed for sale at $360,000, and you've got a $290,000 house, but we can sell that for $360,000. You bet. Yeah, give me that listing. We'll list that for $360,000. You'll sell it. Well, why has that other one been on the market for 497 days or whatever it's been? You know what I mean? Maybe not that many, but still ridiculous because it's ridiculously overpriced because the guy has to get that kind of money or he's going to lose his tail. I mean, that's the only thing that comes down to it. So he's sitting there hoping and praying for this market to come back and for something to happen so that he can make his money. Hell, at least get out of there and break even without losing his butt. So 2014 now, we have this flat market. Prices have not increased, as John pointed out yesterday. If anything, over the course of 2014, from the end of 2014 till now, which we're heading right into 2015, if anything, prices have, leveled off for the most part, maybe tailed a little bit. Maybe a few areas have seen a little bit of appreciation. It's been a little bit of an up and down, but it's just been a little wavy, going nowhere market for the full year of 2014. And now we're headed into, according to the reports here, we're heading into a period of potential decline. So, I mean, if you look at the time frame, 2006 to 2015 is what? 8 years, and we've had up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, in just that little bit of time frame. So that's what we're talking about. And we've had major up, and we've had major down, and we've had totally flat, and we've had inclining, and we've had declining. So all these different markets, and we're still out here wholesaling. You probably started seeing in 2006. You probably started seeing around your town "We Buy Houses" signs stuck on the telephone poles or the street corners or whatnot. That's when pretty much wholesaling started becoming, something of a fad. I guess it was a fad back then, really, where people were getting into it and people were learning about it and people were getting out there and putting up these signs. I remember my small town, 35,000 people. I remember a "We Buy Houses" sign popping up on the corner, and I found out where that sign came from was from an organization. I won't throw the name out there. Some of you probably know it, but they were doing training, teaching people how to do discounted real estate and wholesaling and things like that. And one of their deals, of course, was to put the bandit signs out there, the We Buy Houses signs, and they were going after the same things that we're going after now, you know, and finding motivated sellers is really what it was all about. And so I mean that's kind of when it all started. Although I mean it's been out there forever. There's always been motivated sellers because it's just a fact of life. Things happen in people's lives, and properties suffer and get into situations where people need to get out of properties and are willing to let them go at discounted prices. So it's been around forever, but it's really only started growing since 2006 and being brought to the public forefront, and taking us to where we are now. And of course, it was huge in the downturn because all of a sudden, like I said, there's a deal on every corner, and a monkey could go out there and flip a coin and throw a banana peel and land it on a deal. So anybody could do this. So that's why it got so popular. But the reality of what I'm trying to say here is that wholesaling is good in any market. People are asking the question right now. Well, is now a good time to wholesale? The market's doing this, the market's doing that. Who cares? Yes, it's a good time to wholesale. It's always a good time to wholesale. That's why we're wholesalers. That's why we're doing it here. Okay. But looking at, like I said, the volatility of the market, especially in today's world now after 2006, is going to continue to be volatile. There's no telling what's going to be happening here in the future, partially because of what's going on in the stock market, partially because of what we're being told by the media, partially because all these other factors affect the real estate market. And that's it's all public perception is what markets are based on. That's what all these markets are based on is public perception. How you and I and your neighbor think about what the heck's going on out there. And so that's where the misinformation comes from, because there's people a lot smarter than us out there that have a lot more money than us out there that have the ability to do things that we can't do, that know the mindset things that we try to profess on these calls as well too, and changing of your thinking and how to manipulate thinking with very simple tactics. And basically what they do is they make you, they show you what you don't have and then give you the answer that says, hey, here's the answer to what you don't have. All you got to do is this, which leads you right down the path that they want you to take. So there you go. I just tied it back into real estate for you, John.
Yeah, and speaking of the manipulation, I mean, there's one reason, and one reason only, that we had the bubble in real estate that we did. It was because of easy credit. Americans thought they were rich because they can walk into a bank, state an income that was fictitious, because most people overstated their income to get qualified for a loan, and anybody could get a zero down loan. Hey, you know what? In 2006, the year I started my business in painting, I was working for a paint company making $13 an hour. I think I was bringing home after taxes like $1,300 a month. I went into a bank and I applied for a loan because I thought maybe I can buy a house. And at that time, you couldn't even get a condo in Phoenix for under $100,000. I got approved making $13 an hour, and I'm not shitting anybody here, for $200,000 loan, zero down, about $1,200 plus a month payment. I only was bringing home $1,200 a month, and a bank was willing to lend me enough to buy a home that would be a $1,200 payment. And I had the foresight to be like, I really
can't. Don't worry about that, John. You don't have to worry about that. The market's going up. The property's going up. You're gonna have equity in that house in no time flat. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that. And you know what? It was a fiction. And even with my paint business, 07, 08, but like getting into the business, we had a great year in 07 doing custom remodel homes. And I thought, because I was naive back then, that these people we were doing this work for must be rich, until the crash happened, and I'm watching the houses that these people just dumped $250,000 in remodeling into, lose their houses to foreclosure. Because they borrowed that money. They never had it. We were never rich to support the kind of purchases people were making back then. And you know what? It's a different world. I think Americans are a little bit reluctant now to pull lines of credit. Plus, banks aren't, it's not as easy to borrow money now, and it shouldn't be. So I think, the manipulation that's going on still, and if you notice, they're starting to have a lot of advertising again for credit cards, making it easy to get credit cards because they're trying to turn you back into a mindless consumer who thinks they have wealth when it's nothing but money lent to you at an insane interest rate. If you got a credit card, 30%, come on, 30%. That means for every dollar you spend in the market, you're going to pay an additional 30 cents for that product, good, or service. So with that being said, it's like, open your eyes. Look what the hell's going on. Because like Paul just pointed out, the mindset, humans are like, really, unfortunately, we're like cattle and sheep. And we're easily manipulated and easily led to slaughter, especially if you're not a warrior and you don't have a positive mindset to protect you from the negative and the lies and have a strong mind built up. And, you might be looking at Paul and I say, well, who are these guys? And a lot of people, when they hear this type of conversation, it's almost like they get offended by it. And you need to ask yourself, if you're sitting here watching me and Paul and we're making you angry or offending you, it's because we're actually challenging you, and the part of your mind that's getting offended and upset is the part of your mind that knows that what we're saying is true, and you just don't want to face the reality of it yet. And when I have conversations with my parents who are in their 60s who still don't know that we've been off the gold standard since the 70s, as most Americans don't really realize that there is no gold in Fort Knox back in the dollars anymore, that we're a credit-based consumer society that's deteriorating rapidly. They think you're crazy. But you know what? You can see it in their eyes that they don't think you're crazy. They know, but they have so much at stake. My dad has a 401k, and his whole retirement and his pension is in jeopardy right now, and he knows that. So do you think he wants to admit the truth? Because then he'd have to realize that he may have spent 30 years working for something he's not going to have when the next stock market crash is going to happen. And you know what? Things look good for America right now. The dollar is strong because so much around the world is in turmoil and crap. And we're pretty stable in America right now. But that stability comes from fiction of printing money and propping up the stock market, taking the housing bubble and recreating a bubble in another market to keep the minds of Americans manipulated that everything is great. And if you look at the cycle, the boom and bust cycles, since Alan Greenspan took over as chairman of the Fed in the late 80s and kept lowering and lowering and lowering and lowering interest rates as he kept printing and printing and changing the ability of banks to lend on their fractional reserves, he's manipulated the biggest credit bubble in the history of mankind. If you don't think $18 trillion of debt the U.S. economy is in, or the U.S. government is in, is just a huge bubble of debt that's going to explode like all bubbles do, you need to get an education. You need to get that education quickly because time is running out. That's my opinion. Sense of urgency. Get with it. I mean, I'm as you can see, I'm very passionate and animate about this because I don't want to watch all my friends and family lose their retirements and lose their way of life because they don't want to open their minds to the truth. So with that, I'm going to toss it back to Paul to close us out here.
Yeah, nothing more to say, really. I mean, John said it all. If you are offended by this, it's only because you are seeing the truth within the words that we are speaking, and that you are seeing a reflection of yourself in, the reality of what you're looking at. So that's what it comes down to. That's what offends people deep down inside, is seeing within themselves what it is that it's being presented to them, and that's what pisses people off. So if you're pissed off, it's probably a good thing. So anyway,
You know what it is? The realization that you bought into a lie probably for your entire life. It's upsetting.
yep. So anyway, with that, I'm just going to close this out here today with the prayer, and hopefully you will listen to the final part of this prayer and take into consideration the power that you have within yourself to do something about whatever your situation is. And property noodling is one way, and we have some other ways for you as well too. Send us an email. Oh, universe, we ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to us at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire. Rock it out, people.